Madeleine Albright met with Kim Jong-il. It's the first time Kim Jong-un has been reported to meet with a U.S. official. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed an executive order Wednesday granting voting rights to all paroled felons in the state. The executive order came after Cuomo said he proposed the idea to the state Senate, but a bill was never advanced. Cuomo said it is unconscionable to deny voting rights to New Yorkers who have paid their debt and have re-entered society. This reform will reduce disenfranchisement and will help restore justice and fairness to our democratic process. There are about 35,000 people on parole in New York State. The executive order means New York joins 18 other states and the District of Columbia in granting voting rights to parolees. Cuomo said during a speech at the National Action Network conference in Manhattan, in this state, when you're released from prison and you're on parole, you still don't have the right to vote. Now, how can that be? You did your time, you paid your debt, you're released, but you still don't have the right to vote. His office said preventing parolees from voting disproportionately affects minority voters who make up 71% of parolees. New York Senate Republican leader John Flanagan said Cuomo's order circumvents the law. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports a New York nanny was found guilty on Wednesday of stabbing to death two children in her care at their luxury Manhattan apartment in a case that drew national headlines. A jury unanimously rejected the insanity defense of Yoselin Ortega, whose lawyer said she hallucinated a devil's order to kill the children and herself when she plunged a kitchen knife into Lucia Krim and her brother Leo and left their bloody bodies in a bathtub. The October 25, 2012 killings were discovered when Marana Krim returned to the family's Upper West Side apartment to find her children dead and their nanny standing over them, stabbing her own neck with a knife. Krim had come home with the children's 3-year-old sister Nessie after Ortega failed to show up at Lucia's dance class. Ortega was charged with 2 counts, each of first and second-degree murder, punishable by a maximum sentence of life in prison. Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance told reporters following the verdict, "We hope now that this verdict will give the Krim family an opportunity to heal and to find some closure and to move on in their lives," as a teary-eyed Kevin Krim, the children's father, stood beside him. Krim declined to take questions. Insanity defenses rarely succeed in New York, where proving mental illness is not enough to find a defendant not responsible for a crime. Defense attorneys must demonstrate that the suspect could not understand the consequences of his or her actions. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Retail giant CVS is gearing up for floods of customers seeking the perfect meaningless piece of crap for their office gift swap. The company is making no secret that when it comes to wasting the obligatory $20 on a useless electronic dartboard or pretzel maker for someone you couldn't care less about, CVS is your best option.
Our incredible selection of worthless shit is just the thing that nobody wants. We guarantee you'll find nothing personal or unique in our store.
The company is offering massive discounts on otherwise unsellable items for holiday parties you don't even want to go to, like the $12 decorative lantern, which is expected to be a big hit with customers who grab the first thing they see when they walk in the store.
I really wanted to get something that said, I don't care about any of you people and I didn't put any effort into this.
CVS also has Hanukkah gifts for coworkers who you think might be Jewish, like candles and those little plastic net bags full of chocolate money.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. your calls and thoughts. Welcome. We'll give you the toll-free call-in line here momentarily where you can call in and join us. The us in studio tonight is Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And Chris, you've got a story about the opioid. Apparently, there are fewer people taking prescription opioids.
Who would have thought?
We'll get into that in just a moment. But, you know, we often discuss the horrible, horrible justice system. And Heather, you've got a story that we'll get into, but we're going to start with a story out of Alabama where a now 18-year-old who at the time was, I believe, 15 or 16.
I have noticed something, Heather. Maybe you've picked up on this, too, that whenever Darryl brings in a story from Alabama, we always lead with it.
Mm-hmm. I didn't notice.
I've noticed
never
that.
noticed that.
This has been a trend that if it brings up Alabama, it goes right to the top of the list. And that's fine.
Maybe
I'm
he does
okay with
alphabetical stories, Alabama.
By state?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he's doing. I don't know.
Subconsciously.
I think he just loves Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
It is where you grew up, is it not?
It is where I grew up,
it
and this is
really?
absolutely a horrible story and in no way makes Alabama look good.
But yet, you got to give that. I mean, I love to talk about stories out of Oregon. You love to talk about stories out of Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Darryl loves to talk about stories out of Alabama. So please don't let me...
I love to talk about interesting stories, and this one just happens to be from Alabama.
Oh, don't let me bug you, Darryl. Come on.
The story is actually from the UK Guardian about the incident in Alabama. It says, unlike the vast majority of fatal shootings by police officers, someone is going to prison for the 2015 death of 16-year-old Adante Washington in Alabama. It just is not going to be the police officer who shot him. Lakeith Smith was sentenced last week to 30 years in prison for Adante's murder, even though no one disputes that the bullet that killed him came from the officer's gun. Smith is not even accused of having possessed a weapon. However, under the state's accomplice law, co-defendants can be found guilty of murder if a death occurs when they are in the midst of committing a felony.
I've always found that interesting. It's sort of that you're going to be found guilty of something worse by association.
Right. And
wait, so this kid that was killed, what was he charged with? Was he being arrested for something? Remember this story?
No, he was running from police, and police shot him in the back. And this is one of those cases where somebody actually was committing a horrible crime. Smith was one of 5 teenagers who were allegedly committing a burglary when officers responded and opened fire, killing Adante Washington. Smith, that's the guy that's going to prison for a total of 65 years, who is now 18, was also sentenced to another 35 years for crimes related to the burglary. And because they decided to do these as consecutive sentences, not concurrent sentences, he's in prison for 65 years, and the prosecutor says it's going to be at least 20 or 25 years before he is even eligible for parole. Smith was the only one of the 4 surviving co-defendants to decline a plea deal. And this just shows you how absolutely horrible this whole plea system is,
right,
to where you wind up getting punished for making the prosecutor actually work to get a conviction.
Right. Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. If you just take the plea, it gets it off my plate, we can get this all over and done with, you're probably going to do a little bit less time. Of course, you won't be able to defend yourself. You're
Correct.
Just going to admit guilt. And that this is what happens.
Right. And even if you wind up taking what's called an Alford plea, to where you're saying, I'm not saying I'm guilty, I'm just saying the state has enough evidence to where they would be able to convict me.
Right.
So basically,
You're still a felon.
Is he getting, because the cop shot one of the 5, and this kid that was sentenced was one of the 5 too?
Yes.
And so what you're saying they did is they're tacking on like pretty much extra or like harsh sentences.
He's being charged with manslaughter
Okay.
And because he did not take a plea deal of 25 years, he's being given an extra 40 years in prison because he made the prosecutor work.
I think I do actually remember something vaguely about this in my criminal law class when I was in college about if something like that happens, if somebody gets murdered or injured or something like that in a crime and you're an accomplice, anything that happens to that person, there's liability for everybody involved in the crime.
But let me
changes state to state.
Right. The weird thing about this one is the only person shot was not shot by one of the 5, was shot by a police officer.
But the way they had rationalized it in the class is that everybody that took part in that crime, whatever happens as a result of you doing that, is essentially your own responsibility.
Right.
And that had you not broken those laws, you never would have been.
So in a sense, what this comes down to, they're saying that this kid was an accessory to the murder of this other kid who was murdered by police.
In the eyes of the law, that probably is how it was, because I remember that in school.
That just
I do like, even though I think that
is the charge that he was convicted of.
Right.
Not accessory, but manslaughter.
Sorry.
But it's under what's called the accomplice law, meaning he took part in the burglary
that ultimately led to his friend's death.
So therefore manslaughter because, well, your friend wouldn't have died if you weren't involved. Yeah. And again,
I'm sorry. That's all I had to say.
I mean,
the thing that strikes me the most is this just highlights the whole plea deal system.
What were they burglarizing? Do you know? Is it like a home or a store?
Probably. It doesn't say. But the fact that he was offered a plea deal of 25 years, and because he actually made the prosecutor work for the conviction, he was punished with an additional 40 years in prison. The article here continues, and of course, your calls and thoughts. Welcome, 855-450-FREE. Article continues. Smith was, again, the only one of the 4 surviving co-defendants to decline the plea deal. According to juvenile justice reform advocates, youth defendants are often charged on accomplice statutes. Situations like this in Alabama, however, are rare, according to The Guardian. Jeree Thomas, a policy director for the Campaign for Youth Justice, said it's certainly an uncommon case. The defendant's accomplice wasn't even involved in the killing. It was totally a third party, but they prosecuted him anyway. Marcy Mistreat, the chief executive of CFYG, that's the Campaign for Youth Justice, added, it just speaks to the excessive power that prosecutors have in our system to even seek these kinds of charges. All but 4 states have some form of the law that Smith was charged under, which are usually referred to as felony murder laws. At least a dozen, including Alabama, allow for individuals who commit a felony to end up in a death to be, this sounds weird here, in a death to be charged with murder, even if the person killed is there. Okay, so it allows the police to charge somebody with either murder or manslaughter if somebody that they're committing a crime with is killed, even if they aren't the one responsible for the crime because they're an accomplice. The article continues, advocates say that generally speaking, felony murder laws are necessary in the same way that racketeering laws are.
Jeez.
A group of people may have different roles in the commission of the crime, but they are all criminally responsible in the end.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was taught in school.
Yeah.
And I think the example they gave was like a bank robbery.
Right.
So like if like a bunch of people did a heist at a bank robbery and one was killed in the act, then they'd all be responsible.
Right. But does the guy who doesn't have a gun and he's just there to drive the getaway car have the same responsibility as the guy who comes in with a machine gun and
even if the guy driving the car doesn't even realize that the people that he took to the bank are robbing the bank.
Well, if he didn't know, that's different, because in order to convict somebody of a crime, you need the mental intent as well as the act that was criminal.
Not necessarily. It depends on how the law is written. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
She seems happier. Her fur is so much shinier, silkier, softer. She has really mellowed a lot.
Sheba is 105 lean pounds of shiny, smooth happy dog for life.
The shedding has stopped. The itching has stopped.
Since 2001, we've helped more than 250,000 dogs get over their nutritional deficiency miseries.
And saved our customers bazillions in vet bills.
Everything we tried failed except the Dinovite.
Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
The omega-3 fatty acids, flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa, the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Dinovite is nutrition.
Dinovite for life.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dinovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With over 7,500 secure nodes, Zencash has one of the most distributed node systems of any cryptocurrency. Zencash is a platform for cryptocurrency and communications built by voluntarists for voluntarists, with the ideas of voluntary interaction being written into the white paper no less than half a dozen times. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back into this story out of Alabama. Story actually from the UK Guardian about something that happened in Alabama. But first, I want to tell you about what might be the best pillow that you will ever try. And you can try it risk-free for 60 days. I'm talking about the My Pillow. It's designed to fit to the shape of your body, hold your neck in the proper position. I've been using it for a couple of years, and it's the best pillow I've ever had. And unlike a regular pillow that collects a lot of dirt and dead skin over the years, you can take your My Pillow, throw it in the washer, throw it in the dryer, and it's still usable as a pillow. Go to MyPillow.com. Use code FTL to get your very own MyPillow at half price or get a second pillow free of charge. And remember, if for some reason you don't like it in the first 60 days, you get your money back. And the pillow itself, that's guaranteed to last you 10 years. MyPillow.com, code FTL. So the story that we're talking about, I'm looking at it as, from the perspective of this shows how messed up the whole plea process is. But then there's also the thing to where, there are laws on the books in 46 states, and I just did have the list in front of me. I think it was Ohio, Michigan, Hawaii, and one of the ones that starts with an I that have gotten rid of these so-called felony murder laws or accomplice laws that basically say that if you're committing a felony and one of your conspirators or accomplices winds up getting killed, you can be charged even if you are not the one that wound up killing them.
Right, or they kill someone else, or anything happens. Right, basically that's it, right?
Yeah.
If the alleged criminals shoot somebody else, you could get charged with murder or manslaughter. If one of them gets shot by police or by the homeowner or by the business owner, then you could be charged with that. And you should be charged with a crime that you commit. That's what it comes down to for me. This doesn't sound right. I understand it's the law, but
I can't remember. But does it say if that law includes like people that weren't involved in the crime? Like, let's say you rob a bank and a police aims to shoot and they miss and they hit somebody else and that person dies. Would the same thing apply?
I don't know, and it depends on how it's written in each state, because every state writes their things differently.
Right.
To where there was some thing that wound up getting fixed after it passed out of the House last year that was aimed at protecting the rights of unborn while also recognizing the rights of women to have abortions in certain situations.
Sure.
But it was written in such a way as to where a pregnant woman could kill another pregnant woman and get away with murder.
Right.
Because it was just written so poorly, and then they realized, oh, wait, we didn't mean to allow pregnant women to just kill anybody.
Right, and then you had the law down in Florida, which was supposed to be some sort of an internet protection act.
The anti-gambling
thing, which ended up making every cell phone illegal.
It made every telephone illegal.
It was everything.
Because it had something to do with if you could connect with banking something, and because... Most banks nowadays have where you can call up and push in some buttons and get your bank balance.
That's it. So, again, it's silly. But I guess if you're going back to a system, when I think of justice, I think about justice not as the system of justice. I think of it as an idea that there's a fairness to things. And I think you should absolutely be charged with a crime that you were committing. And this idea of adding on to it because of certain circumstances rubs me the wrong way.
There's a little bit more from the article here. Kent Scheidegger, the legal director of the Criminal Justice Legal Foundation, which is a victim rights advocacy group, says if you have 3 people run into a bank and they all have guns and there's a shooting, it doesn't matter who pulls the trigger. Says if you storm a bank with guns, you know it's highly likely somebody's going to get killed and you're responsible for it. But even Scheidegger, who has been called the country's most outspoken advocate for capital punishment, thinks the application of the law was excessive in Smith's case, in large part because Smith was effectively convicted of a murder of someone who legally was not murdered.
Right.
A grand jury ruled Adante Washington's death was a justifiable homicide after determining that the eldest of the group, then 19-year-old Javarsk Jackson, fired at officers and that Washington was carrying a gun. Scheidegger said you can't even be an accessory if there is no principal.
Right.
Jennifer Holton, a lawyer for Smith, said in closing arguments, the law reads that you have to be a participant in the crime to be guilty. It's a tragedy that a young kid was killed, and it's an injustice to hold Lakeith responsible. Jurors then took less than 90 minutes to hand down a guilty verdict.
Unreal.
I mean, don't steal things from people. I don't know what else to say.
I'm not saying that,
No,
Lakeith Smith is
I'm
an
not
innocent
saying
little
you
angel.
are. I'm just saying my thoughts on it are, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Like, you know what? You shouldn't have been robbing people. You know what? Should the officer have fired at the guy's back? No, probably not. I mean, I think of, with respect to the law, like think about people that drink and drive. Like drinking and driving is a crime, but what if you hit and kill somebody? Then there's that additional like manslaughter. Like was your intent to kill them, but you would still get charged. And so when you do reckless and negligent things like an armed burglary and one of your friends gets killed, it kind of,
So to draw a parallel on your drunk driving, it would be akin to charging the bartender with accessory to murder because somebody that bought alcohol at the bar was in an accident.
I think that's a little different because I think when you have a group of people that intend to burglarize something, they know the risks there. They know that when people...
Right, and when you're a bartender and you serve somebody alcohol, you know that there's a risk that they might get intoxicated.
My point is what about this idea of adding on charges to other people that weren't directly? And that's where I go back to that system of justice. I mean, you were involved in a bank robbery, therefore you are charged with bank robbery.
But see that example where you have like 5 guys with a gun go into a bank and one pulls the trigger. It does seem like all of them should share in the blame there.
But why is that? That's I understand from a societal point of view, you want to penalize this behavior as much as possible. But again, should not the charge fit the crime? And in a lot of cases, they just don't. And there's a lot of ways that prosecutors can sort of add stuff on, pile stuff up until, because they do want them to take a plea. They do want that to be the result.
Right, and because he refused a 25-year sentence on a plea deal, he was then penalized and given 40 additional years in prison. And he will not be eligible for parole for, according to the prosecutor, at least 20 or 25 years.
To be clear, I am not advocating robbing banks.
I'm not advocating for robbing anything.
I
I'm
agree.
also not advocating for killing people. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Your calls and thoughts about this or whatever is on your mind. This is Free Talk Live.
Face it, today's electric power grid is more vulnerable than ever. From natural disasters to EMP attacks and hacking, the grid could be crippled for days or even decades in the most dire scenarios. Visit quantumharvest.net to see our built-to-last EMP-protected solar power systems. While millions suffer, you'll have vital power for water pumps, refrigeration, and sanitation. Now that's peace of mind. EMP-protected solar power systems for every need and budget. See our full range at quantumharvest.net.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've been talking about the messed up justice system, and Heather, you've got a story about that we'll jump into here in just a second. But maybe you want to watch us. Maybe you're one of those people that, you just like watching other people.
A voyeur.
You can do that on the Twitch. Head over to twitch.lrn.fm, and there's chat room connected to the thing where you can wind up chatting with other peoples that are also watching, and I don't know, maybe people interact on the chat room. I just know there is a chat room, and some people like to watch us. twitch.lrn.fm.
Are you ready for me now?
That's why I pointed to you.
Ta-da.
Okay, so I have a story that's kind of like the flip side of what we just discussed. As far as the first story was a police officer that had killed another person. This is about criminals that killed police officers. And it actually kind of hits close to home because if you haven't already heard, there was a Yarmouth police officer in Massachusetts that was killed while executing a warrant. So he's one of the officers in my hometown. I didn't know him, but a lot of people I did knew him. So it is kind of one of those stories that...
So for people that have no clue about Massachusetts geography, where is Yarmouth? Is that like...
It's on Cape Cod.
Ah.
The Cape and Islands.
And for people that also have no clue about Massachusetts geography...
Cape Cod is the little branch that goes out into the ocean.
Like a fish.
So it's the little thing that goes out past Boston.
There's 2 islands.
Right.
There's Martha's Vineyard where Jaws was filmed. Everyone knows Jaws.
P-Town.
Yes.
The Kennedys lived there.
Okay.
On the Cape.
I got really drunk there one night.
Okay, so anyway, so basically the person that killed, a little backstory, this guy that killed the police officer had like 111 charges, and they weren't just like victimless crime charges. They were like, he was arrested for like choking a pregnant woman. He stabbed somebody that he stalked, and like just a lot of crazy stuff this guy had, but he kept somehow getting put back on the streets. So this article is kind of the flip side about the justice system, where in a case where we just talked about, where somebody that didn't technically do what he was charged with, was being sentenced. This person did do what he was charged with, but it's not getting sentenced. So it's definitely highlighting the flaws in the system. So it goes to say, it's from NBC Boston. On the day Yarmouth Police Sergeant Sean Gannon was laid to rest, 2 police chiefs called for change to a system that has freed 3 violent offenders who went on to kill police officers. Several proposals aimed at reforming how violent offenders are evaluated for release have languished in the state legislature. An impassioned Yarmouth police chief let out his rage and frustration at a vigil for Gannon Saturday evening. "I don't want to see this happen to anybody ever again," he said, "but it has happened over and over and over. 3 Massachusetts officers have been murdered since 2010, with 3 career criminals accused. In 2010, questions about how a man serving 3 life sentences for armed robbery went free led to restrictions on who is eligible for parole. I am deeply sorry and grateful I didn't hurt more people," Dominic Sinelli told the parole board on November 6, 2008. At that hearing, the board described him as a very, very, very high risk, yet they voted unanimously to put him back on the street. 2 years later, Sinelli gunned down Woburn officer John McGuire in an armed robbery during a snowstorm.
So I don't get it. I honestly, are parole boards that busy? I mean,
yeah, it makes no sense to where you have somebody that, a very high risk, having killed people, that gets paroled, but yet people that possess a plant wind up being in jail for, a long amount of time. You've got somebody that
sometimes
ran a website that is in jail for 2 life sentences plus 40 years without the possibility of parole.
Right. How many people did Ross Ulbricht kill?
0.
That's
exactly right. 0. Let's go to the phones, 855-450 free. We've got Jamie calling in from South Carolina. Jamie, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Have you ever done cocaine?
No, I have never done cocaine. Have you?
Yes, my habit. My wife, she don't like it, but she said it's bad for me to be around the kids when I'm on the stuff.
Yeah, I would say it probably is not a good idea to be around kids when you're on cocaine. I would probably, if you think you're addicted, contact a medical professional, and hopefully they don't wind up reporting you to the police for being a drug addict. Jamie, thank you for the call. Let's go to Stefan calling in from Ohio on the Skypes. Stefan, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Doing well. What's on your mind?
So I think I made it apparent, I've been traveling on the past couple of days, and I ended up bringing home a very nasty cough. And I was coughing up like green bloody mucus, and I had listened to myself with a stethoscope because I'm going to nursing school, and I kind of had a sneaking suspicion it was pneumonia. And have you guys ever experienced pneumonia before?
Yes.
Yes.
I have not. I've also never used a stethoscope on myself, but I will give you the same advice that I gave Jamie. You might want to go see a medical professional.
Well, I decided to experiment with a treatment I had heard about for pneumonia that I think a lot of pharmaceutical companies like to keep under wraps.
Meth?
I had watched a lecture. No, not meth. I had watched a lecture.
You didn't deny the cocaine.
Yeah, I was going to say. And everybody knows meth is for a flu, Darryl.
It's all right. But
I always get my old-timey remedies confused.
Starve a cold, meth a fever. That's the old
exactly.
saying.
You can, no, it's weed a fever. Come on.
Oh, I might be wrong. Go ahead.
Anywho, I had watched a lecture a couple years ago by this doctor who had talked about taking extraordinary doses of vitamin C in order to subside the effects of pneumonia. And earlier today, I had an absolutely nasty cough. It was ridiculous. I had a bit of a fever going on, though I have a mercury thermometer, so it might not have been too accurate. And for the past hour or so, I started taking 2,000 milligrams every 6 minutes.
And what you're doing
sounds
is
like a
safe.
lot. Now, I will say, Stefan, that one, you might want to watch out for that train that sounds like it's coming through your living room. And two, be careful taking too much vitamin C. You actually can overdose on it. But luckily, the side effects are you pee a lot.
The recommended daily allowance of vitamin C is for an adult man is 90 milligrams.
Yeah, so there
and you
was
were taking
one time,
how much?
I've been taking 2,000 milligrams every 6 minutes for the past hour, and you're going to think it's ridiculous, but my cough has virtually stopped.
I don't doubt it. Are you orange?
Do you look like
his
Trump?
pee will be in about 30 minutes.
I just can't imagine this is a healthy thing.
Oh, it's not. It's not. And the way I figured
What
out
makes it
that you
unhealthy?
can, because you're going to just wind up peeing a lot, and it's not going to be pleasant.
Have you not read any of the studies claiming that large amounts of vitamin C can be a cure for virtually any sort of viral infection?
No, I have never read that.
I buy the emergency packets. That I
the
take
1,000 milligrams.
anytime I ever feel even slightly feverish,
Mhm.
I start taking those emergency packets, and I feel so much better.
They're great.
I think Big Pharma is trying to cover up these kinds of treatments, and that's why the recommended daily dose is so low, because they'd make us more sick more often.
That may be true. Yeah, it's interesting. Vitamin C, I mean, that was always the thing when I was growing up, hey, you're getting a cold, take lots of vitamin C. And
Right.
we still
Apple
do
a day
that
keeps
at
the
my
doctor
house.
away.
Right.
Yeah,
I'll still, during the winter months, add vitamin C to my smoothies. But one time when I was, I think, a teenager, I just thought they were regular candies. They were vitamin C drops.
They taste like oranges.
I ate a bunch of them, and I was peeing every 10 minutes all night long.
Oh, God.
Stefan,
Thanks
thank
for
you
the call.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450 free. And no, we are not actually giving medical advice here on Free Talk Live, but we'll talk about it.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help. Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite. Pick up 2 bottles of Lico-Chops, get the 3rd bottle free. New improved Lico-Chops with omega-6, omega-3, vitamin E, and now 6 extra direct-fed microbials. Even better for the digestive tract and immune system. And dogs love it. Try Lico-Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free. This is Henry Lukasevic for Dynavite.
DINOVITE.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
According to a study released Thursday by the Princeton University Department of Biology, this local 2-year-old woodland chipmunk has crafted a far more secure and dependable plan for the future than 8 out of 10 Americans. Reporters spoke to citizens to get their view on the study.
Clearly, this chipmunk is pretty impressive. I mean, he wakes up every morning and says, I need to collect acorns and berries for the winter. He sets goals for himself and he gets it done.
If he has to make a burrow in a tree stump, that's exactly what he does. He doesn't pause and have a snack and lay around for a few hours.
Out of nearly 40 separate interviews with Americans, 33 told reporters they were very impressed by the chipmunk's continued display of foresight, personal responsibility, and pragmatic decision-making when considering his own future.
He's preparing for winter, he's building a home, and he's trying to get enough nutrients to make it throughout the rest of the day.
All this while being worried about maybe getting eaten by a wolf or an owl or something. Earlier this week, the electricity went off in my home because I forgot to pay my bill. It's the second time this year.
This is the Onion News Network.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back to the calls here in just a second. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we've been talking about the broken criminal justice system. And, well, because it is so broken, that's one of the reasons I'm running the New York City Marathon this fall as a member of Team Innocence Project. Team Innocence Project has been around for over 25 years. They've already helped 200 people wind up being exonerated, many of them from death row for crimes they did not commit. And the vast majority of those were because of DNA evidence or other physical evidence that showed that the person wasn't actually the one that committed that crime. With your help, the Innocence Project can help even more people who have been wrongly convicted be exonerated. As part of Team Innocence Project, I'm raising awareness about wrongful convictions and raising funds to help free the innocent. I've already paid the race registration fee, my lodging, my travel, all of that is covered. But what I need to secure my spot on Team Innocence Project in the New York City Marathon is to raise $3,500 by November 1st. You can support the Innocence Project and help me secure my race entry by going to run.freetalklive.com. That's run.freetalklive.com. We'll get back into the article in just a moment from NBC Boston, but first to Mortified Penguin calling in on Skype. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Greetings, my friends, and hello, Sister Heather. It's glad to see you on. Our salutations from the Commonwealth of the LRN Discord.
Go ahead with your thoughts, Mortified Penguin.
Yeah, and you're missed up there, Mr. Wombat Perry. We have a blast up there, don't we, Chris, Brother Chris?
Always.
Yeah. I just wanted to call in regards, well, I wanted to say hi to everybody, but I wanted to call in regards to the topic at hand, the article about the criminal justice system, the felony murder situation.
Yeah, go ahead with your thoughts.
I do think that's justifiable, charge and a way of looking at the crime. So when an armed criminal gang commits an armed criminal action, a serious crime of aggression like murder, robbery, something like that, when the gang commits the crime, they go out and they are responsible for the actions. I think that on its face, the idea of that if one of the members of the gang kills somebody, it's felony, it's murder, it's felony murder, it's at least manslaughter. They share culpability when an armed criminal gang does that. But on the margins of it, yeah, it's troubling on this particular case because a member of the gang isn't the one that did it didn't do the killing, and actually a member of the so-called criminal gang was killed. Now, that's still kind of covered by the law in most cases, from my understanding of it. But in addition to that, it wasn't murder, like you said. It was justifiable, and you kind of got to be fair about that. It's not a murder. How's he charged with a murder?
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things to where the prosecutors like to play every side of an issue and charge somebody with whatever they can charge them on. and hope that they wind up taking the plea deal, which he did not. And then a jury wound up in 90 minutes convicting him of all charges, and this guy wound up being punished for not taking a plea deal.
Right.
65 years. And that's really cruel and unusual to me. And I'm fine with being harshly punishing crimes of aggression, crimes with the victim, but long-term incarceration of somebody that young, that is cruel and unusual. I'm not a fan of long-term incarceration. It is counterproductive. It's not
right.
I'm for harsh punishment, but not that.
Now, I don't know what like the members' backgrounds were and stuff like that. I do think like there's should be some more discussion on, like, let's say you have that kid, right? That's not a bad kid, but he just gets mixed up with the wrong people, and they end up he's there when a crime goes down, and it's like, should he go away for the rest of his life, or how do we decide? And it kind of
Well, that's basically what's happening here.
And it kind of ties into the article that I was just talking about, where it gets into it a little more. Like, how do you go about when you have a slew of criminal? What criteria do we use to say these ones can go on the streets, these ones belong in jail? How long does this one get? Like, how do we figure all of this out?
Well, I don't think it should ever be exactly written down so that in every example we have something to do. I think that prosecutors and judges should have discretion, just as defense attorneys should have the ability to bring anything forward to try to reduce the sentence for their client or to exonerate them completely. When we talk about it in real terms, what this case is all about, here's what it is. We feel that keeping this 25-year-old kid in jail till he's 50 years old will not serve society best. We feel it's best for him to be held in jail until he's 90 years old.
And he's 18.
Oh, he's 18. I was thinking he was 25.
No, the 25 was the amount of years he was offered as a plea deal.
Okay, so do the math in your head. Subtract that number and subtract 7 from all that.
Right, so he's still going to wind up, even if he does wind up getting paroled at the earliest possibility of 20 years, he's going to be 38 years old before he ever sees the light of day again.
Right.
He was a minor teen,
go ahead.
wasn't he? He was a minor teen when he committed the crime, wasn't he?
16.
He was, but charged as an adult. He's now 18, and Alabama is one of those states that they love to charge black teenagers as adults and then, wind up dragging the process out until they are adults when it actually winds up going to trial. And then, well, he's an adult. We can't charge him as a kid.
I mean, I think given his age, it's definitely excessive. Ugh. That's crazy, 65 years.
Yeah, but I guess my bigger question is what's our goal here? Is it eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth? You did this, and this, so we're going to hit you with the maximum. Then just give everybody the death penalty and be done with it.
If he's 16 and he doesn't have any like violent things, and this is like,
well,
group of young kids.
Was it the first thing? I don't know. I don't know what his background
I'm fairly
is.
certain that if he had a very long rap sheet, that would be mentioned in every article that was written about him, even all of the horrible hit pieces written from Fox News that did not mention any kind of previous record.
Yeah, and I'm not defending him, but I do think, as a society, we ought to look at this stuff and say, is our goal just, like I said, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, or is it to try to turn something horrible into something positive maybe later on?
Right. I guess really the question that needs to be answered, and I can't answer this for anybody else, is the point of the justice system to rehabilitate people, or is it to punish them?
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what I was saying. Yeah,
like little of both. I mean,
yeah.
It's so frustrating when there's like the story that I'll get back into where it's like this guy that's just so violent gets let out time and time and time again and then kills a police officer. And then this kid, like 16 years old, commits a robbery. Like, where's the opportunity to kind of like learn from your mistake? Like, we all make mistakes. We don't all rob places, but you don't know his background.
Yeah. Let's jump back into that article. And Mortified Penguin, thank you for
Appreciate
the call.
Okay, so it says, in Yarmouth, accused murderer Thomas Latanowicz was out on probation after serving 4 years for gun and heroin charges. In the last 15 years, he racked up 125 criminal charges. The death of Auburn officer Ron Tarantino in 2016 was caused by a man with 92 arraignments. I'm not happy and I'm sick and tired of it, Auburn Police Chief Andrew Sluckus said. The death of the Yarmouth officer cuts especially deep for Sluckus. I'm very frustrated. I have a building full of sad and frustrated officers once again. Auburn shooter George Zambrano had a history with cops. He was charged with assaulting a Worcester police officer and then fighting 3 Massachusetts State Police troopers. Prosecutors wanted him jailed during a 2016 hearing. Throughout his record on almost all his charges, there's a resisting arrest or an assault and battery on a police officer charge, a prosecutor said during Zambrano's 2016 bail hearing. And I'll be the first one to mention, I don't always believe those charges. Because I know I've seen plenty of videos where they're stop resisting, and the people are clearly the victim.
Right. One of the former co-hosts of this show, James Cleveland, had a resisting arrest and disobeying an officer charge.
For filming?
He was filming, and then the cops told him, you need to go over there. You're under arrest. Stop resisting. And he says, I'm not resisting. And from the time they said, you're under arrest until you hear the handcuffs click was 2.5 seconds.
Right.
How do you resist and still wind up handcuffing somebody in 2.5 seconds?
I'm pretty sure I told this story before, but when I was 17, I gave my friend a ride to a court date because his mom gave me gas money. Because at the
Stop
time,
resisting.
Well, at the time I was the only one with a license. But I hear some music, so I think I'm going to have to hold this story. So if you want to hear my story, you're going to have to hold on a few minutes.
And assuming we remember that you were in the middle of a story, and your calls and thoughts. So if you've got a weird resisting arrest story, call in 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
I tried other brands, but I came back to my Sunshine.
For the best hot or cold pain relief, get the best. Get a Sunny Bay heating pad.
Sometimes life can be a pain in the neck or back or shoulder.
And the best relief for that pain is a Sunny Bay heating pad. Did you know that the American College of Physicians said that one of the best ways to treat muscle pain is heat therapy? Sunny Bay heating pads are handmade with high quality, can be used at home or at work, and have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy.
Why take another pill?
Many people use our Sunny Bay heating pads alone and got rid of the neck pain.
Long distance travel or long hours in front of a computer can take its toll on your body.
See why our homegrown small business at sunny-bay.com has tried to help people just like you. Get your Sunny Bay heating pads at sunny-bay.com. That's sunny-bay.com or call 253-678-1361 for hot and cold therapy. sunny-bay.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, April 19th, 2018. Silver is trading at $17.21 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,347 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $35, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,209. Antiwar.com reports CIA Director Mike Pompeo had an unlikely destination for Easter weekend, Pyongyang. Pompeo reportedly made a top-secret trip to North Korea that weekend to meet with Kim Jong-un amid preparations for a direct Trump-Kim summit. The news of the visit came just hours after the White House had confirmed extremely high-level talks with North Korea. This is about as high level as it gets, as Pompeo is not only CIA Director but the Secretary of State nominee. Officials are refusing to publicly speak on the Pompeo visit, saying they don't comment on secret CIA Director travel. Trump had suggested the summit will be in early June and 5 locations are under consideration. Previous reports indicated that the U.S.-North Korea talks were being coordinated through the New York office, where North Korea has diplomats for the UN. A visit by one of Trump's favorite cabinet members to North Korea is clearly a much higher level of discussion. This is the highest level U.S. visit to North Korea since the year 2000, when Madeleine Albright met with Kim Jong-il. It's the first time Kim Jong-un has been reported to meet with a U.S. official. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed an executive order Wednesday granting voting rights to all paroled felons in the state. The executive order came after Cuomo said he proposed the idea to the state Senate, but a bill was never advanced. Cuomo said it is unconscionable to deny voting rights to New Yorkers who have paid their debt and have re-entered society. This reform will reduce disenfranchisement and will help restore justice and fairness to our democratic process. There are about 35,000 people on parole in New York State. The executive order means New York joins 18 other states and the District of Columbia in granting voting rights to parolees. Cuomo said during a speech at the National Action Network conference in Manhattan, in this state, when you're released from prison and you're on parole, you still don't have the right to vote. Now, how can that be? You did your time, you paid your debt, you're released, but you still don't have the right to vote. His office said preventing parolees from voting disproportionately affects minority voters who make up 71% of parolees. New York Senate Republican leader John Flanagan said Cuomo's order circumvents the law. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports a New York nanny was found guilty on Wednesday of stabbing to death 2 children in her care at their luxury Manhattan apartment in a case that drew national headlines. A jury unanimously rejected the insanity defense of Jocelyn Ortega, whose lawyer said she hallucinated a devil's order to kill the children and herself when she plunged a kitchen knife into Lucia Krim and her brother Leo and left their bloody bodies in a bathtub. The October 25, 2012 killings were discovered when Marana Krim returned to the family's Upper West Side apartment to find her children dead and their nanny standing over them, stabbing her own neck with a knife. Krim had come home with the children's 3-year-old sister Nessie after Ortega failed to show up at Lucia's dance class. Ortega was charged with 2 counts, each of first and second-degree murder, punishable by a maximum sentence of life in prison. Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance told reporters following the verdict, "We hope now that this verdict will give the Krim family an opportunity to heal and to find some closure and to move on in their lives." As a teary-eyed Kevin Krim, the children's father, stood beside him. Krim declined to take questions. Insanity defenses rarely succeed in New York, where proving mental illness is not enough to find a defendant not responsible for a crime. Defense attorneys must demonstrate that the suspect could not understand the consequences of his or her actions. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Following today's press conference in which NASA announced its continuing search for a planet capable of supporting NASA, researcher Dr. Kenneth Heiser sat down with Onion reporters to detail their ongoing mission to find a NASA habitable planet.
Our objective is to find a planet capable of nurturing not just life, but also a sustained interest in the exploration of the cosmos. Such a planet would need to have water and proximity to light and heat, but also life forms with even the vaguest understanding of the importance of astronomical exploration. Ultimately, this would need to be a planet with organisms that have a genuine interest in expanding the limits of their knowledge.
Heiser added that any planet capable of supporting NASA would need to be able to generate a steady stream of financing to meet the agency's $18 billion annual budget.
The important thing is we just need to be patient. There's a limitless number of planets in the universe, and eventually we'll find one with the resources to support our work. We just have to, right?
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 2 in studio tonight. It's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we've been talking about the broken criminal justice system, and it's broken in a lot of ways. It's broken in that sometimes violent criminals wind up being let out on $500 bail, and other times it's broken to where people wind up being charged and convicted of crimes they did not commit. Heather, you've still got more from your story from NBC Boston that we'll get into here in just a moment. But first, let's go to the phones where we've got Mike calling in. This says from Sarasota, Massachusetts, but I don't think there is a Sarasota, Massachusetts. Hopefully they got the name Mike right. You're
they
on
got the
Free
Mike
Talk.
right, but as Heather correctly pronounced from Worcester.
Okay.
And,
that sounds a lot like
because no one
Sarasota.
pronounces that right.
Yeah, so go ahead with your thoughts, Mike.
Well, just I think that it would be good if judges were appointed, but then they had to run for re-election, and the record was exposed that way. In Massachusetts, all judges are appointed, and we are still reeling from having both liberal Democratic governors as well as liberal Republican governors that have appointed people to the bench who are not putting people to the time that they should, based upon the crimes that they.
And you said something about they're appointed, but they run for re-election. Is that kind of like the thing they do in Pennsylvania, to where every so many years they go up for a vote of, do you want to keep so-and-so as a judge?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
That way, it's not a totally political situation, but there's a high correlation between making contributions to the governor of the time and being appointed a judge.
Right.
That not all drug dealers own pit bulls, or not all pit bulls are owned by drug dealers, but all drug dealers own pit bulls. And it's the same thing with appointment of judges, that you can guarantee that if they're being appointed a judge, then they've given a contribution, and a hefty contribution to the
right. And there are also studies that have been done in states where judges are actually elected, and it shows that, from what I've seen, the punishments wind up being more severe during the election year, so that the judges, and Mike just dropped off the line there, so in the places where judges are elected, tough on crime. I'm tough on crime. Look at all of these stiff sentences I handed out in the last 6 months.
All right, 6 months before the election.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. I don't know what the solution really is. Go ahead.
Like, I'm sure. Like, I was sitting here thinking, like, what could the argument be to favor putting judges there and having them like serve for life? And is that to prevent them from running the risk of being like bought out while they're there or something?
The claim
Do you know what I
is
mean?
because that's how judges are handled in New Hampshire, to where they're appointed and they serve until either they retire or, I believe, age 70 or 75.
Are they allowed to just
where
leave and go do something else?
Oh, they can quit at any time.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not a slave contract to where they're forced to be a judge until the age of 70. They can retire before then.
Right.
But, and I forget if it's 70 or 75. I think the age was changed recently. But there is a certain age where they're required to retire. but it's an appointment until either they resign, they die, or they hit that mandatory retirement age. And the claim is that it prevents corruption and it prevents the politicization. But at the same time, if you've got a judge that winds up, doing horrible, corrupt stuff anyway,
right,
it's almost impossible to wind up getting rid of him, because who do you wind up having to appeal to? All of the other judges,
right,
who then make a decision about whether this judge is corrupt. It's just like if Congress is, investigating themselves because somebody wound up doing something bad.
The way I had always understood it was the idea behind lifetime appointments was that judges may sometimes make decisions that are going to be hugely unpopular, and that can be liberty-wise in a good way, liberty-wise in a bad way. But if they are doing that, it's just never sat right with me. I've just never liked the idea of anybody appointed for life. That reminds me of kings.
Yes, or queens, as they currently have in England. Let's go to the Discord, where we've got Vaginitarian calling in. Vaginitarian, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Good evening, gentlemen, and welcome back, Heather.
Thanks.
What's on your mind?
I wanted to shift topics a little bit. I know that Chris, a couple of weeks ago, had brought up the Rajneeshis in Oregon, and now that I've finished watching that amazing documentary on Netflix, I wanted to pick his brain about it a little bit.
Wait, was that the cult thing?
Yes.
I remember that.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
No, I didn't watch it. It's on Netflix?
Watch it.
It is.
It's good.
And what's the name of that? Wild Wild Country?
Wild Wild Country.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
so
really
go ahead
good.
with your thoughts.
It's very well done, and I think it serves as a good example of a community getting together, wanting to be independent, wanting to be self-governing, and then having the full might of the state of Oregon and the U.S. come upon them and basically disband them all. But from within, they had their own conflicts that absolutely contributed to that, and they eventually turned violent. And so Chris had mentioned, I think that you even got to go onto the ranch. And I'd like to hear your experience on that, and then your opinion on it, having been so close to it.
Sure. So we started talking about this a few weeks back, but when I was 18 years old, the Rajneeshis had just kind of settled the ranch, and this all occurred about 95 miles from where I lived in Eastern Oregon, and that's like one or two towns over. So we used to always travel through there, and my English teacher at the time, she had just resigned, and it was her summer, and I was going into the military, so we decided to go check out the ranch. Once we got to the ranch, the immediate things that I noticed were, my God, there is literally tens of millions of dollars worth of construction equipment here, and buildings and things like that. This land was just never, it was no longer good for any purpose. It was a type of rangeland that had been so overgrazed for so many years that nothing was ever expected to happen with it. And the Rajneeshis were seriously turning the desert green, and it was very, very impressive. When we got there, we were given a tour guide. A tour guide met us as soon as we pulled in, and she, who had dark hair, and I want to say an accent, she wasn't from America.
And you still remember these details 30 some odd years after?
Yeah. The dark hair and the accent I remember, and I can't remember watching the documentary whether that was one of the women that may have been mentioned, but I'm pretty sure after watching the documentary she would have been one of Sheila's people. She showed us around, and it was sort of a guided tour, but if we said what's going on over there, then maybe she'd take us over there. Other times she didn't. But it was really interesting. They were preparing for their first festival. They talked about that in the documentary, and they were building literally 1,000 like 12-foot by 12-foot wooden sleeping platforms in a big, huge field. That's like building 1,000 decks all at once, and that was all going on while we were there. The one thing I didn't see much of in the documentary was the big, huge effigies of the Rajneesh on all the buildings. So like virtually all the bigger buildings, like where they met and things like that, would have this very Stalin-esque huge painting of the Rajneesh in one of the colors of the sunset, which is how they described what they wore, the reds, the yellows, the oranges, and things like that. I asked them about sex because that was the big thing. What is it with you guys and sex? What are your feelings about it? And she just said, well, the biggest insult I could ever offer, ever lend to anyone would be to say that I would not have sex with them. Me being 18 said, so if I asked you right now, and her response was, well, yeah, why not? I'm like, okay, well, +1 in that category. But it was just really interesting. She wasn't that bad looking.
Your calls and thoughts, welcome. And Vaginitarian, hold the line. Not sure if there was more you wanted to discuss. Your calls and thoughts, 855-450-FREE.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com. I've said it many times on air, and I'll say it here. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is one of the most important organizations for freedom in the world. New Hampshire is ground zero for freedom, and the NHLA is the best organization at promoting effective liberty activism. This ad is sponsored by Free Talk Live, and I, Mark Edge, am a lifetime member because I believe in the NHLA. Please check them out at nhliberty.org. Not everyone can move right now, but you can support the cause. Donate top cryptocurrencies or old-fashioned U.S. dollars, nhliberty.org. Visit their website and see what they're all about, nhliberty.org.
This is Darryl W. Perry, host of Free Talk Live. This November, I'll be running in the world's biggest and most popular marathon, the New York City Marathon, and I've accepted a spot on Team Innocence Project because I'm a passionate supporter of their work. Since 1989, 353 people in the United States have been exonerated by DNA testing, including 38 who pled guilty to crimes they did not commit, and 20 of whom served time on death row. The Innocence Project provided direct representation or critical assistance in 180 of these cases. With your help, the Innocence Project can help even more people who have been wrongly convicted. As part of Team Innocence Project, I'm raising awareness about wrongful convictions and raising funds to help free the innocent. I've already paid the race registration fees. However, to secure my spot on Team Innocence Project in the New York City Marathon, I need to raise $3,500 by November 1st. You can support the Innocence Project and help me secure my race entry by going to run.freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And I've got a question for you. And Chris, I see that you're wearing kind of a plain, boring shirt right now. You were describing the people of the Rajneesh village dressed in all kinds of bright colors. That's not plain, that's not boring, but they weren't really cool, clever T-shirts from $6 shirts. Now, I'm not wearing one right now. I was earlier. I think that's the one I was wearing earlier. But $6 shirts has a wide variety of funny, clever shirts, and they're $6. And they're also sold by somebody that's like you, a listener to Free Talk Live. Again, $6 shirts has a gigantic selection of shirts, and there's almost a guarantee that you are going to find something that you like. $6shirts.com. Use code FTL to save 10% off your order, and they accept Bitcoin, which means they also have some Bitcoin-related T-shirts. Actually, I think they have some crypto shirts that aren't just Bitcoin. $6shirts.com. Code FTL saves you 10%. So we've still got Vaginitarian on the line. She had called in to ask about, Chris, your trip to what's the name of the village?
It was Rajneeshpuram.
Yeah, so it's the village that's somewhere in Oregon. Netflix recently made a documentary about it called Wild Wild Country.
Yeah, definitely a town. Just a couple other thoughts on that. The other thing that they talked a lot about was how it was a completely drug-free area. And, we have no drugs here. And, this was the early 80s. And face it.
Drugs are bad. Okay.
Wait, was that like a decoy or was it really drug-free?
Well, it really was, and except to our tour guide, I'm like, okay, you keep talking about how you have no drug problem here, there's no drugs here, but I see like 10 beer trucks lined up right over there, and there was, Miller and Budweiser and all this stuff, and I was like, what's the deal with that? And they're like, she said, we work 13 and a half days on, and every 2 weeks we get that half day off. You work like that out in the fields, at the end of the day, wouldn't you want a beer? I'm like, okay, that's... That's a good argument, but they saw that things in moderation were not bad. Overall, my ideas on the documentary, and I've been talking a lot with friends of mine back home about this, where there were no good actors in any of this. The Rajneeshis came there for arguably good reasons, but then they behaved horribly. There were a lot of things, a lot of unsolved arsons and a lot of unsolved acts of violence and acts of just vandalism and things like that occurred in the area that were likely they very well could have been Rajneesh coordinated. The state of Oregon behaved horribly. They basically oppressed them because they had friends of people in high places who knew people in the Antelope area, and they came down very hard. And then you had the locals who just basically instantly took up this position that they're different from us, therefore they must be evil. And they did not really extend an olive branch when they came to town or into the area at all. So, when you have three groups of people that are trying to sort of coexist and settle their differences, but they're all being antagonistic towards everybody else. It was just a recipe for disaster. And I had left before most of the real craziness had happened, but there were, even when I was there were still, people were talking about stuff that had occurred in the Dalles or, in Wasco.
Were they like one of the creepy, like, child molesting groups?
No, I don't think that was their thing, and I can't speak for everybody in their group. It was certainly not what the Bhagwan taught. He was very much in a lot of ways, very libertarian. He embraced capitalism. He thought that, people deserve to be left alone, and there's nothing wrong with making money and wanting nice things, and being kind to each other. That was the big thing. But again, just because you have a charismatic leader doesn't mean that everyone involved in that is going to be, benevolent. You definitely saw that in the documentary.
Vaginitarian, any further thoughts?
I just like to comment on the locals part and sort of accepting them. One of the biggest things that they seem to have an issue with was like the free thought of the community and expressing themselves how they wanted to, especially with regards to the free sex. It was this seemingly wild community in this quaint conservative Oregon town. And I think it connects pretty well with the Discord chat going on about sex before marriage right now, and just sort of the taboos that are on that. And that's great that you met the tour guide, and that was the first question that she asked you.
First question I asked, because I was 18 years old and male.
First question that you asked her. But I'm curious, like, if these kind of social mores against sex might be going to the wayside as we get more progressive in society. But
I don't think waiting until marriage is a bad thing. And I didn't do that because I'm a single mom to an 8-year-old. But I do see the importance of, when it comes to families and raising kids, they're a huge responsibility. And sex is intended for procreation. I mean, that's really like what it ultimately comes down to. And no form of birth control is 100% effective. And I think it is good to promote traditional values of, having a stable home as far as like what's in the best interest of children, So I definitely don't think that we get further as a community by promoting irresponsible sex and that kind of behavior.
Promoting irresponsible sex?
No, I'm just saying that like this open sex thing where she just has sex with anybody and then like just creates a child that like,
Hold on. She said she'd have sex with me. It's not just anybody.
Oh, okay.
So let's be clear here.
But I'm saying like that type of promoting that kind of behavior, in my opinion, is how you get to like third world countries. You know what I mean? Like, we don't become a first world country by promoting third world habits. Like, you shouldn't just go around screwing anything.
Right.
Well, first world just means that you were. Go ahead, Vaginitarian.
I don't necessarily think it's a third world habit to just have sex with whoever you want. Some of those cultures that we would consider third world are a lot more conservative sexually than Americans even are. But
Switzerland is technically a third world country because third world just meant countries that were not aligned with either the U.S. or the Soviet Union during the Cold War.
Exactly.
Thank you,
and it's all about perspective.
Yeah.
Yellow card.
Yeah. And no, I mean, to me, and this is where Heather and I disagree. You have your beliefs. I don't think there's anything wrong with sexuality if you're being safe about it and you're being responsible about it. And I don't think that means that people necessarily have to be tied to one person or whatever it happens to be. But I also agree with her in that I think having a traditional nuclear family is the best environment for raising a child. I do believe that, and I think my time has borne that out.
Vaginitarian, thank you for the call. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
This is novelist Tom Robbins. When my mother was diagnosed with glaucoma, her conservative Virginia physician told her there was only one treatment that might ease her pain and save her eyesight. That treatment was medical marijuana, which he could not prescribe. I offered to get her some and teach her how to use it effectively, but my father objected because marijuana was against the law. So my mother, who loved to read and walk in nature, was condemned to grow cruelly, unnecessarily blind. Tragedies like this happen all the time, but they don't have to keep happening. To learn more about medical marijuana, call the Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or visit them on the web at mpp.org.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If you were listening in the last segment, you heard a caller that was calling us on Discord. And, well, Discord's not just an option for calling in. There are also chat rooms that I believe were mentioned. You can find all of that at discord.lrn.fm. Now, you can either use, I think there's a web version, or you can download like an app, a program for various devices and use it in a bunch of different ways. Discord.lrn.fm. And as I mentioned, there is a call-in line on the Discord. There's also a call-in line on the Skype, which is how Dave Ridley from RidleyReport.com is calling in. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Boys, girls, and assorted malcontents.
Tell us what you thought.
I am going to invoke the H-bomb.
Okay.
Or rather, I'm going to try and grill the H-bomb, as in Heather.
Oh, okay.
Play nice.
Yeah. Play real nice.
Well,
hold on. Who is talking other than you?
That sounded a little creepy.
Really?
The fuck? Whoa.
You're hearing some kind of audio artifact?
Hold on. There is somebody else on... I don't know if that's the Skype, Dave. I just muted you. I'm not seeing anybody in the Discord call-in line.
Play real nice.
I don't know where that extra audio is coming from. And because I don't know where that audio is coming from, Chris, let's jump into your story, and then Dave, we'll come back to you in just a moment. And I'll try to figure out
that was really
that
awkward.
audio thing between segments.
We just
Does that
blew
kind of
Darryl's
sound
circuit.
seductive to you?
It was a little weird, little creepy. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Very weird. So
let's talk about opioids.
Yeah,
Americans love them, right? Yay! But
I make sure that I get my daily dose.
I know. I take them every day. It's the only way I can get out of bed.
Recommended daily allowance is 0, correct?
I believe so.
Yes.
And I do that every day.
I've done that, I believe, every day for the last 40 years and a couple of months.
Never took an opiate.
Not to my knowledge. I've taken some barbiturates.
Huh. Okay.
I don't think I've ever taken one either.
Oh, wait.
I've had them prescribed.
Morphine is an opiate, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, yeah, I had some of that when I fractured my butt.
I got one of those
their butt?
Those pain things after you get your wisdom
Hairline
teeth.
fracture on my tailbone.
That's the only thing.
Hold on, Heather. What? You had a hairline fracture of your tailbone, your coccyx, or you just say your butt?
It was the tailbone.
Okay.
Hairline fracture the whole way across from hip to hip. I was living in Pennsylvania at the time and slipped on a patch of ice, and I was carrying my son, and I didn't want to drop him. So instead of falling in such a way to where he would get hurt, I wound up, split-second decision, falling right on my butt, and I wound up fracturing my butt.
And you got opiates for that.
Got a morphine shot.
I'm sorry, Heather. Before he brought up breaking his ass.
Did you get the shot in your ass?
Yes.
What were you going to say?
Where they give a morphine shot.
Really? I thought it was like an IV thing. No?
It depends. I mean, I broke my back and I had like it wasn't morphine. I think it was morphine.
Well, if you're in there for a long time,
you guys are a very coordinated bunch.
Don't bust on me for breaks. So I broke a few vertebrae. I mean, it's not a big deal. But I've broken lots of bones. But I've had that.
I'm going to get you guys both a life alert button.
I think I get mine with Medicare now or something like that. You can make your old jokes now. But as it turns out, Americans are filling far fewer opioid prescriptions, new data shows. And this comes to us from the Chicago Tribune. New data shows that the number of prescriptions for opioid painkillers filled in the U.S. fell dramatically last year. They showed their biggest drop in 25 years. The decline comes amid increasing legal restrictions and public awareness of the dangers of addiction. A health data firm released a report Thursday showing a 9% average drop nationwide in the number of prescriptions for opioids filled by retail and mail-order pharmacies. All 50 states and the District of Columbia have declines of more than 5%. The U.S. is estimated to consume roughly 30% of all opioids used worldwide. That seems like a staggering number. I mean, we're 300 million people, ballpark,
yes.
Out of 7-8 billion people on the planet.
About 7.5 billion, probably pushing 8.
And the percentage of Americans that take opioids consume 30% of the entire world.
That is now. Hold on. Is that only prescription opioids?
I am going to assume that that's what they're referring to.
Because, there are a lot of people in the U.S. that take opioids without a prescription. I'm sure there are a lot of people in other parts of the world that take opioids without a prescription.
Yeah, and I would think so too. But it does make one wonder, if other parts of the world are just not prescribing opioids nearly as often as we do here in the United States,
or if in other countries you're not required to have a prescription to get opioids.
Great point. Maybe you can just go down to the pharmacy and get some for yourself, but it's
or you could go to the local U.S. military installation in Afghanistan where they're guarding the opioids.
Get it right there. Just grab
Get
a bale.
Get it from the supplier.
Exactly. Cut out the middleman. To repeat that sentence, the U.S. is estimated to consume roughly 30% of all opioids used worldwide. The number of prescriptions for opioid painkillers filled in the U.S. fell dramatically last year, which showed the biggest drop in 25 years and continuing a decline amid increasing legal restrictions and public awareness of the dangers of addiction, new data show. Health data firm IQVIA's Institute for Human Data Science released a report Thursday showing an 8.9% average drop nationwide in the number of prescriptions for opioids filled by retail and mail-order pharmacies. Am I rereading this, or is this repeating itself?
It's probably repeating itself because a lot of times articles do that, where they'll put a sentence at the very front and then they reword it and put it down towards the end.
Yep, they actually did that. We're at a real critical moment in the country when everybody's paying attention to this issue, said Michael Kleinrock, the Institute's research director. People really don't want them if they can avoid them. There was an even greater drop in the number of total dosage of opioid prescriptions filled in 2017, down 12% from 2016. Reasons for that include more prescriptions being for shorter duration, a 7.8% decline in new patients starting on opioid prescriptions, and far fewer high-dose prescriptions. Opioid doses are measured in, quote, morphine milligram equivalents, or MMEs.
Now, one thing that I'm curious about here, and I don't know if the article gets into, and I intentionally waited to bring this up to see if it did, how much does some of the different regulations that have been imposed in the last couple of years affect the prescriptions here? Because I know somebody that, I don't know exactly what the ailment is, but I know somebody that they take a prescription opioid.
Right.
And now, instead of just calling the doctor whenever the prescription is about to run out, they have to go see the doctor, and then the doctor has to call the pharmacist, and then there's all these bureaucratic hoops that have to be jumped through before she can just get her refill.
Right. So I'll posit that absolutely has everything to do with it. What the government says you can and should do, then doctors are more likely to do those things. And conversely, when they say you shouldn't, then they don't.
Well, I mean, do you think it could also be because of regulations like, in Massachusetts, for example, where there's several departments that stopped arresting people for like possession and stuff and getting more people into treatment. And so there's been more funds and stuff like that allocated toward treatment facilities and stuff like that. So maybe the number of people.
But that wouldn't necessarily affect the prescription rates.
But I think it wouldn't a lot because a lot of these people that they end up on prescriptions and becoming addicted to legally prescribed medication.
Right.
I mean, I know it happened to my father.
They're not all using
from
illegal
the VA
drugs.
And
right.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
I've said it many times on air, and I'll say it here. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is one of the most important organizations for freedom in the world. New Hampshire is ground zero for freedom, and the NHLA is the best organization at promoting effective liberty activism. This ad is sponsored by Free Talk Live, and I, Mark Edge, am a lifetime member because I believe in the NHLA. Please check them out at nhliberty.org. Not everyone can move right now, but you can support the cause. Donate top cryptocurrencies or old-fashioned U.S. dollars, nhliberty.org. Visit their website and see what they're all about, nhliberty.org.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
Fellow Patriots, my name is Todd Savage, founder of BlackRifleRealEstate.com. Like you, I was a prisoner of the out-left sanctuary state until one day I chose to lead my family to freedom. Today we live on a sustainable 20-acre homestead where we shoot, hunt, garden, and homeschool our children without the tyranny of the nanny state looking over us. If you're ready to flee the city to the freedom of Idaho or Montana, our Black Rifle Real Estate team is here to help. Go to blackriflerealestate.com. That's blackriflerealestate.com.
It's a no-brainer. A Big Berkey water filter is the one you need, period. You need a water filter that removes chlorine, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, BPA, and other endocrine disruptors, pesticides, bacteria, viruses, and much more, right? And does it all at only 2 cents per gallon. Get the original and most trusted name in gravity water filtration, Big Berkey. And now GCN listeners receive 5% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN. Call or click 1-877-99-BERKEY or BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And thank you, Chris, for showing me how that Discord thing works, because apparently after I took the Discord call earlier, I knew that I was supposed to leave the thing, and I didn't know how, other than I was told, you click here and then move to, and I wound up moving to something that apparently was another audio room that I had no clue was an audio room. So, Chris, thank you.
You're welcome, Darryl.
Now, Discord, not the greatest of technologies, but something that is much better technology, and no, you can't make audio calls on it, is Zencash. But what Zencash is, and what makes it such great technology, is that there's privacy built into it. Regular cryptocurrencies have a public blockchain. Zencash, there's part of the blockchain that's public, but they also have zero-knowledge proofs that allows for anonymous transactions, also allows for anonymous messaging. Zencash has close to 9,000 secure nodes as of right now, making it one of the most secure networks of any cryptocurrency. And Zencash was made by voluntarists with the ideas of voluntary interaction being embedded in their white paper. Zencash has better tech than the competition. Learn more about it at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. Let's go back to Skype. Unfortunately, Dave had dropped off, but we do have Neil calling in on Skype. Neil, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yes, guys, on the opioid thing that you're talking about, my mother-in-law takes one opioid prescription, and in the last year, all it's done is created another job for a different kind of a doctor, because her doctor, her MD, writes her the prescription. Then to get the prescription filled, she has to go to another doctor called a pain management specialist, and then he has to actually write her a prescription that she can actually get filled.
Right.
It's just putting another doctor in the chain so they got somebody else to make money. She still gets it. Once a month she has to go sit there for like 3 hours waiting for an appointment, 3 hours past her appointment time to get in there, because this guy's so overbooked and he's making so much money, it's ridiculous.
Right. So what this is this is the government, the results of the governmental response to a crisis, and this is what they do. They'll lay down all sorts of new regulations. They'll change all the rules for how things are supposed to work and how they need to happen. They'll put in additional requirements before you can get your meds. And these are the types of things that drive up our costs of health care. It's just what it is. I don't know how many people are being prevented from becoming addicted through this. To me, it just always seemed like doctors needed to be better aware of the risks of addiction when they go to prescribe. And
right, and there are probably a lot of variables at play here as far as why doctors prescribe opioids at the rate that they do. But one of the larger variables is the way the pharmaceutical companies have their pharmaceutical reps go around and pass out all kinds of freebies. Hey, doctor, reminder that we have all of these wonderful drugs here.
I'm telling you, it's a fascinating story, and I encourage everyone to Google it if you haven't, but it's the Purdue story about OxyContin and what they did to market that drug and how much money they made off of it. But they basically took, some of the sketchiest research they had, and they sent reps out saying, opioids used to be a bad word, but we're finding all sorts of new uses for OxyContin. So, if you have somebody who's got a broken arm, pain management, we can manage that pain. We can do it successfully. Guess what? OxyContin is safe to be used with children now. And you can use this for regular, don't worry about addiction. Use this as a long part of your long-term plan to help manage your patient's pain. And there's been a lot of states that have sued Purdue over this, but it was, I don't ever bust on a free market system, but I will bust on bad players in it, and what they were doing was absolutely deceptive.
And I don't even know if you could call the pharmaceutical system that we have in the United States a free market system.
But
that was a real stretch. I thought of that as soon as I said it.
Free market, like fraud is still a crime, right? Like if people are knowingly going around selling something that's like portraying it as something other than it is, like how do you draw the line where, okay, now you're selling someone, like, do you know what I mean? Like if you falsely advertise, oh, hey, I have this little magic pill that's going to do A, B, and C, and it really doesn't, or it does A but causes like X, Y, and Z, which are bad. Like,
well, how do you do that in a free market?
No. She's asking if fraud would be a crime.
But
like
how do you address that?
Advertising and fraud, and like where to draw lines.
I don't know. Can you still go to a pharmacy and buy Dr. McGillicuddy's magic elixir, which will cure cancer? No. Of course you can't. That's just a stupid example, but there are always these forms of snake oil, and what happens is word gets out. If stuff doesn't work, or if it's dangerous, or if it's bad, and particularly now with the internet, it's much easier
I guess
to
it's your
punish
own
a
choice
company.
if you put it in your body, right? So ultimately, it's our own choice. It's our own responsibility to, vet our own research and that kind of stuff. And
I have actually been at the doctor's office before, in a packed doctor's office, when that drug representative comes in with this big suitcase on wheels and goes up to their desk and says, "Would you tell the doctor I'm here?" And all of a sudden, everybody's waiting for their appointments longer because he gets to go right in to see the doctor.
Yeah.
Right. But that doctor's getting a nice golf trip out of it too. So
Yeah, really.
Golf
All
trip,
right.
a container full of pins. And Neil, thank you for the call. Probably a bunch of notepads, all kinds of magnets and the squishy balls.
Oh, Darryl, I don't know what it's like now because I know they have put some regulations in that limit the amount of grift they can provide to doctors, but it really is. It's just payoffs. And back in the OxyContin days in the Purdue deal, I mean, these were doctors that were Purdue would say, we'd really like to hear your experiences at our next conference, which we're hosting at Maui, and it'll be a week long, and bring your family.
Now, since you did mention Purdue, I recalled seeing this a couple of months ago, back in February. Purdue had announced that they were going to stop marketing OxyContin to doctors.
Yeah. Well, if you've already done it for, 20 years now, something like that, you probably don't need to.
Doctors are well aware that OxyContin is a thing, but it's one of those things to where, as long as you stay right in front of it, hey, here's your free carton of pens, here's your notepads where you never have to buy notepads again.
Yeah.
And it says Purdue Pharmaceutical, OxyContin at the top.
Well, another thing that we might look at that may be playing into this is the fact that lots of states have reported, and this is not just me reporting, that states that have done medical marijuana tend to trend lower in prescriptions of opiates.
Yes.
So more people will turn to CBD and smoking marijuana and stuff like that, which is it's a great thing. It's as far as I know, still nobody has died from marijuana overdose.
Correct. There was probably that one person that had a large crate of cannabis fall on them, possibly, maybe.
Could have happened.
Like, that's really the only way that you die from cannabis.
For that,
what
I say
is that
beware
other
of
stuff
heavy crates.
that's like, they call it synthetic marijuana, but it's not marijuana at all.
Like K2 and spice and stuff like that.
What the heck is that? Because it's definitely not marijuana.
It's formulated like a cannabinoid, so it has the basic characteristics of a cannabinoid molecule, but sort of the like tetrahydrocannabinol, the active
ingredients,
the things that get you high.
So because I believe it's the federal schedule that will actually wind up somewhere writing out whatever the chemical makeup of various things are. Oh, see, we changed this fourth one from this letter to this other thing, and then we moved this to here. So it acts the same, but it's not the same. And that's a lot of the stories of people dying from smoking those. They were smoking them out of plastic bottles. No, you died from smoking a plastic bottle.
I don't know. I had one case where my son got some spice in another state, brought it back to Pennsylvania, and it was not like he was high. He was freaking out. So
I'm not saying that the stuff is safe. I'm just saying that the reports of deaths.
That, like, is it the same in all of it, or is it different? Is it
They're
like
all different?
So it's like Molly. It's like one of those like Russian roulette. Like you never know what you're gonna get.
I don't know what Molly is.
We'll tell you. Plus your calls and thoughts.
I've never done Molly. I've just heard.
Free.
I tried other brands, but I came back to my Sunshine.
For the best hot or cold pain relief, get the best. Get a Sunny Bay heating pad.
Sometimes life can be a pain in the neck or back or shoulder.
And the best relief for that pain is a Sunny Bay heating pad. Did you know that the American College of Physicians said that one of the best ways to treat muscle pain is heat therapy? Sunny Bay heating pads are handmade with high quality, can be used at home or at work, and have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy.
Why take another pill?
Many people use our Sunny Bay heating pads alone and got rid of the neck pain.
Long distance travel or long hours in front of a computer can take its toll on your body.
See why our homegrown small business at sunny-bay.com has tried to help people just like you. Get your Sunny Bay heating pads at sunny-bay.com. That's sunny-bay.com or call 253-678-1361 for hot and cold therapy. sunny-bay.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, April 19th, 2018. Silver is trading at $17.21 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,347 per ounce. Zen Cash is trading at $35, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,209. Antiwar.com reports CIA Director Mike Pompeo had an unlikely destination for Easter weekend, Pyongyang. Pompeo reportedly made a top-secret trip to North Korea that weekend to meet with Kim Jong-un amid preparations for a direct Trump-Kim summit. The news of the visit came just hours after the White House had confirmed extremely high-level talks with North Korea. This is about as high-level as it gets, as Pompeo is not only CIA Director but the Secretary of State nominee. Officials are refusing to publicly speak on the Pompeo visit, saying they don't comment on secret CIA director travel. Trump had suggested the summit will be in early June, and 5 locations are under consideration. Previous reports indicated that the U.S.-North Korea talks were being coordinated through the New York office, where North Korea has diplomats for the UN. A visit by one of Trump's favorite cabinet members to North Korea is clearly a much higher level of discussion. This is the highest level U.S. visit to North Korea since the year 2000, when Madeleine Albright met with Kim Jong-il. It's the first time Kim Jong-un has been reported to meet with a U.S. official. For over 40 years, Robertson Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Robertson Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed an executive order Wednesday granting voting rights to all paroled felons in the state. The executive order came after Cuomo said he proposed the idea to the state Senate, but a bill was never advanced. Cuomo said it is unconscionable to deny voting rights to New Yorkers who have paid their debt and have re-entered society. This reform will reduce disenfranchisement and will help restore justice and fairness to our democratic process. There are about 35,000 people on parole in New York State. The executive order means New York joins 18 other states and the District of Columbia in granting voting rights to parolees. Cuomo said during a speech at the National Action Network conference in Manhattan, in this state, when you're released from prison and you're on parole, you still don't have the right to vote. Now, how can that be? You did your time, you paid your debt, you're released, but you still don't have the right to vote. His office said preventing parolees from voting disproportionately affects minority voters who make up 71% of parolees. New York Senate Republican leader John Flanagan said Cuomo's order circumvents the law. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports a New York nanny was found guilty on Wednesday of stabbing to death 2 children in her care at their luxury Manhattan apartment in a case that drew national headlines. A jury unanimously rejected the insanity defense of Jocelyn Ortega, whose lawyer said she hallucinated a devil's order to kill the children and herself when she plunged a kitchen knife into Lucia Krim and her brother Leo and left their bloody bodies in a bathtub. The October 25th, 2012 killings were discovered when Marana Krim returned to the family's Upper West Side apartment to find her children dead and their nanny standing over them, stabbing her own neck with a knife. Krim had come home with the children's 3-year-old sister Nessie after Ortega failed to show up at Lucia's dance class. Ortega was charged with 2 counts, each of first and second-degree murder, punishable by a maximum sentence of life in prison. Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance told reporters following the verdict, "We hope now that this verdict will give the Krim family an opportunity to heal and to find some closure and to move on in their lives." As a teary-eyed Kevin Krim, the children's father, stood beside him. Krim declined to take questions. Insanity defenses rarely succeed in New York, where proving mental illness is not enough to find a defendant not responsible for a crime. Defense attorneys must demonstrate that the suspect could not understand the consequences of his or her actions. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Following reports that local full-blown alcoholic Ken Matheson has such great friends that let him drink himself to death right before their eyes, the 32-year-old man spoke to reporters during a typical evening of binging with his closest friends.
Man, these guys are like brothers to me. I don't know what I'd do without them.
The chemically dependent man, who can reportedly always count on his friends to look the other way, facilitate belligerent behavior, and encourage his self-destructive impulses, informed reporters that the members of his tight-knit circle are, quote, the best buddies a guy could ask for.
Can you just shut the fuck up? Seriously. Just shut the fuck up. I lost back then. Keep going. What the fuck are you looking at? I love you, man. I love you.
Check this week's Onion Review for further developments.
I love you. Oh, God, I love everybody.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free call-in line where you can join us with whatever is on your mind. The us in studio tonight is Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And as we kick off hour number 3, we've been talking about the opioid crisis. Some people are trying to say it's an epidemic, and I don't know when a crisis becomes an epidemic or if it's just one of those things to where, some politician has declared sort of like states of emergency to where, like it takes the governor holding a press conference before a state of emergency is actually officially a thing.
Yeah, it's interesting, and a lot of people in the Discord have been bringing up the war on drugs, which we really didn't even mention during that story, but absolutely, I read a statistic that said, at the beginning of the war on drugs, there were about 1.5% of our population was addicted in some way, and today, after $1 trillion and
we've gotten that number down to 1.5%.
Right, and it's just remained flat. It's such a failed program, and what we've got out of it is the largest prison population. We have jailed millions of people for possession of a plant that should not be a Schedule I drug. It's not on the level of heroin or other opiates, and it does have medicinal uses. I think there's been enough studies to make that clear.
And there has been legislation in enough states where they've created this thing called therapeutic cannabis to show that there are medicinal uses.
Yep. But that's not how the feds have reacted.
Right. We'll continue with the article from, where's the article from?
Chicago Tribune.
We'll get back into that in just a moment, but first to the phone where we've got Bobby calling in from Lakeland, Florida. Bobby, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
But how you guys doing? I'm glad Chris got to nail Rajneeshi. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it was...
They got that Netflix documentary Wild Wild Country that just came out. I'm gonna watch that now after Chris gave that little introduction on how he actually got to see the place. That's pretty cool. But down here in Florida, during the height of the pill mill epidemic, I knew a guy. He could go into one of the pain management clinics with $500, go in, see the doctor, and within 45 minutes, you go and see the doctor, and you come out with 180 OxyContins, and they would actually like dispense the pills right there before they put the ban where you can't dispense the pills where you prescribe them also.
Right.
So that was one of the. So a lot of the pills are coming out of Florida, and $500 cash, and you were gravy. All you had to do was walk in there. Oh, my legs hurting, my back's hurting, or whatever, and you could just walk out. And I could see how that was a problem, but now they've done so hard with the regulation. I have a buddy, he got burnt, pretty bad throughout his whole body. Now he has to personally get the prescription from the doctor, and then he has to see a regular physician and go to the pain management, and then they actually P-test him to make sure he's taking the medication and not selling them. And he has to have the physical prescription and now take the physical prescription up to the pharmacist. They can't dispense them there anymore. And, I mean, it's just it makes it much harder on him because it's hard for him to move and get around. And then now the regulation is really over-regulated on how you can get them since they scheduled to, I think, a 2 now.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And this is what happens when government creates a problem and then decides that government's going to fix the problem that they've created. And I in this entire thing, it goes back to sticking their nose where I read the Constitution, and for the life of me, I cannot find the part on medicine. Where is that part in the Constitution?
I think there's a line that gets drawn, though. Like there's a big difference between like recreational drug use, medicinal drug use, and abusing drug use. Like they're 3 separate categories, and I feel like it's so sad when people out there that have a genuine like their life can be literally better with a particular drug, has trouble accessing it because of the people that abuse it. Like that's what really irritates me.
The question is the question for me at least is
interstate commerce.
Well, yeah, thank you, Darryl. That's been the excuse for every interference in most of our history.
Right, see, because I'm drinking water that I got out of the tap instead of buying an Aquafina.
Right.
I am interfering with interstate commerce. Something should be done about this.
Right. So that was the complete abuse of the Constitution that led to the government being able to control things under the Pure Food and Drug Act, which turned into the FDA. But to answer your question, I think in a more libertarian society, we would accept that there's going to be some people that are going to abuse drugs. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
but the question becomes,
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Go ahead, Bobby.
The question. Let me finish my thought real quick. The question is should government be the one that makes all these decisions for everyone, and they make them with a blanket policy that's going to apply to the person who's maybe doing things recreationally and the person who needs them for their medicine? I trust a doctor more than I'm going to trust a politician or a bureaucrat.
I mean, really, it's a matter of the person, though, because there's plenty of doctors out there that get paid to write prescriptions, so they'll, prescribe their patients something they don't need because they get a bigger cut to feed their family at the end of the day. I mean, bad people come in the private and public sector.
Go ahead, Bobby.
No argument.
Now it's all black market undersells. So I much rather see it like you guys would. I'd rather see where my one friend can walk in with $500 and come out with whatever the doctor did prescribe him, because that's the laws that they set up. If the doctor prescribes it, you can get it. And I'd rather see that being able to be happen than my friend going in pain and having to go to 5 different places just to really get his pain medicine that he really has to have. And I think you guys are dead on. And the argument there is that the overregulation now is hurting people that really need it, and the people that want their pills are just black marketing it anyways.
Right.
So I'd rather see my friend not hurt than not having to go through all them steps than to see like I said, I don't want to see him getting more hurt just because this black market now, and so they're doing it anyways. I guess the baseline.
Bobby,
guys.
thank you for the call. And then one other problem is you've got this situation to where, let's say you do have multiple doctors for different things. Those doctors aren't easily able to communicate because of HIPAA.
Right.
So you've got
Great point.
Like
Great point.
your arthritis doctor that doesn't talk to your general practitioner, who doesn't talk to the doctor that deals with something else.
Well, Darryl, all there has to be are HIPAA agreements signed by you authorizing all these people to be able to share your private health information, which ends up being a gigantic cluster F, and it's unmanageable. I mean, because we have so many advances today in medicine, a lot of people during the course of their lives are going to see perhaps a dozen specialists, because different specialists will be able to help you. That's a good thing. I forget what the
requirements are, but there is some information that most patients accept when they go to see a doctor, that gets stored in what's called the Medical Information Bureau, which is it's like a source of information that's interchangeable between doctors. So life insurance companies and stuff like that, when we were to write policies on someone, we would obviously have to do medical background checks. So if people were to lie on their initial application and, not mention they had hip surgery when they're applying for a long-term care policy, then we would actually see that in this database of information. So there's certain things that technically, I think maybe the way, because I was thinking, how would that work with HIPAA? But maybe there's certain things that patients, when they agree to be treated by a doctor, are kind of saying, hey, we consent to this information getting passed.
And oftentimes you do when you go into a doctor's office and they say, first of all, before we can do anything, new patient, sign all these releases and things like that. But HIPAA was it was and is a disaster. It's added trillions of dollars to healthcare costs.
Yeah,
There's no doubt
I just
about
remember my aunt telling me when she was taking my granddad to all kinds of doctors when he had dementia that none of the doctors knew what the other ones were doing.
Right.
This is Free Talk Live. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
From the second letter of Captain Mark. Any pirate knows that commerce is communication. Markets condense oceans of information into a single price. Innovations in communication are circumventing the scrutiny of the crown. This signals a change in the coin of the realm. The crown uses digital currency to surveil, censor, seize, and destroy wealth at will, so pirate currency must protect us from this weaponized money. We need to move funds further, faster, cheaper, and without third-party observation, basing decisions on an accelerating flow of information. So pirates require nearly instantaneous transactions with no arbitrary limits on volume or artificial influences on fees. Most importantly, a pirate currency must preclude centralization. Otherwise, it will become another link in our chain to the crown. A superior currency will result in the obsolescence of the coin of the realm and the extinction of the crown itself. Trade above the grid. Join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With over 7,500 secure nodes, Zencash has one of the most distributed node systems of any cryptocurrency. Zencash is a platform for cryptocurrency and communications built by voluntarists for voluntarists, with the ideas of voluntary interaction being written into the white paper no less than half a dozen times. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
Are you making sense to the boomer mindset? I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. 80 million baby boomers comprise 25% of the population and control most of the USA's wealth. As aging parents pass on, they'll control more. Boomers are 46 to 65 years old and regard themselves as midlife. They identify as neither young nor old. They're post-minivan and pre-retirement, and they don't like being called boomers. They think me. Many of the purchases boomer couples make are individual purposes. They've been experimenters all their lives. If you want their attention, tell stories and keep it simple. If something seems complicated, boomers can dismiss it as, I don't need this. And if you're looking for work, you may be applying to a boomer, so relate accordingly. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've been talking about the drug war and more broadly about the opioid crisis, epidemic situation, to where, Chris, you've got a report about the prescription rates for opioids have dropped in the United States over the last how many years? Like 10, 15?
Trying to find out where it's just like an annual. It's measuring things annually, so it doesn't say.
Okay. Yeah, I thought somewhere at the top it had mentioned over like the last decade.
Biggest drop in 25 years, but still it's a year-to-year drop.
Okay,
9% average drop nationwide.
Well, we'll get back into that in just a moment, but you know, I want to tell you about something that libertarians have been wanting for a long time, and, well, it's finally come to fruition over the last year or so, and we're helping build it. That's liberty.menu. It's a directory of liberty-minded businesses, and it's a tool for our community. At its core is a directory for events, businesses, digital content, and more. Listings can be rated and reviewed, kind of like Yelp, but there's also a bit of a social networking aspect where you can actually connect and share with other users. Use of liberty.menu is exclusively for individuals who reject the initiation of force and for those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. Put your voluntarist ideas into action at liberty.menu. Use code FTL to get a special Free Talk Live listener badge. That's liberty.menu. Use code FTL to get that special Free Talk Live listener badge. We can't give you a discount to liberty.menu because it's free to use, but you can get a free badge to go on your profile. Liberty.menu.
Nice. This story from the Chicago Tribune continues. The federal government and about half the states have enacted restrictions such as limiting dose or duration of opioids that can be prescribed. Insurers and drugstores began imposing similar limits on opioid use for acute pain as opposed to cancer and chronic pain patients. The Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, increased prosecution of heavy prescribers, and numerous medical groups have issued guidelines urging prescribers to offer other pain management options when possible and to limit doses and duration of opioid prescriptions. Despite those measures, deaths from drug overdoses have continued to increase in the U.S., and an emergency room saw a big jump in overdoses from opioids last year, according to government data. Doctors have been heeding the message from medical groups, and some worry they'll be arrested or lose their license if they provide too many opioids, says Bob Twillman, executive director of the Academy of Integrative Pain Management, which represents doctors and others who treat pain patients.
And I'm certain that too many opioids is just a decision that somebody makes of, we just think that you've prescribed too many.
Right. More to the point, somebody at the DEA or FDA comes up with a random number. It's undoubtedly arbitrary. They'll say it's based on some study, and it probably is. But in the end, medicine is like the most personal thing. Like no two patients could ever have the exact same needs.
You've not used enough leeches, so therefore we're revoking your witch doctor license.
Yeah, but it's craziness. And, quote, we get a lot of phone calls from patients whose primary care doctors have said they won't prescribe opioids at all, unquote, and want referrals to other doctors, Twillman said. The opioid data is part of IQVIA's annual report on U.S. drug spending trends. It noted that last year, the total spent on prescription drugs after multiple discounts and rebates drug manufacturers give to middlemen was $324 billion, up 0.06%. The report forecasts that after such discounts, drug spending will rise by 2 to 5% annually for the next 5 years. So it's where we're at. I just really wish that there were a little bit more freedom involved in this whole thing and a little less government.
Right, and I'm sure there's somebody listening that's screaming at their radio because they're afraid to call in to 855-450-FREE, that's screaming at their radio saying, well, just take cannabis. Well, I know that the people that really, really, really love cannabis want to say that, like, it will cure anything.
Right.
But there are some people that might not have a good reaction to cannabis. There are some people that, whatever the condition is, it only responds to opioids.
Right.
So opioids in and of themselves are not a horrible, horrible thing. They're just not used properly in a lot of cases.
Right. But they've also been used for thousands of years. This is not something new we've dreamt up. We've dreamt up new ways of delivering them in pure forms.
Right, like the OxyContin.
Sure. And new sort of derivatives like fentanyl and things like that are much, 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 much stronger. But, just the idea that the plant, the opium poppy, does
it
not
safe
have...
to say, though?
Go ahead.
Here's something. When you have drugs that are regulated in the market, right? Because there's a free market, there's a black market. But, if you go into a CVS, chances are everything in the bottle is what it is. Whereas
Correct.
if you buy it on the streets...
You have no idea.
You have no idea. So, to some degree, everything in the pharmacy is regulated. Everything on the black market is not. So to some degree, is regulation not providing at least a safer oversight? Where...
Here's what I would...
Let's look at vitamins and supplements.
Well, hold on. To your point, what I would love to see would be people who say pharmacies still say, we want to see a prescription. We want to see a doctor say that you need this particular drug. So, it's sort of a baby steps towards put in your body whatever you want. But if they were allowed to do that without interference from the government, don't you think prices would go down, service could go up, and then this is what we see in other countries.
That's kind of like a separate issue. My issue or my point is, if it's safer, why is it safer to go into a pharmacy than it is to buy on the streets? And is that not because of the fact that there is regulation? So are some regulations and oversights kind of providing a safer...
This is a function of a profit motive. So you have a profit motive at the pharmacy level. You have a profit motive at the drug manufacturer level. And if you make things freely available and not difficult to provide when people want them, then the black markets go away. That's the point.
Right.
And you can get more people into at least a industry regulated model by allowing more people to play in that.
I don't know of any black market fish oil salesman, but I do know that I can go into probably a dozen stores within a 2 square mile area and buy all kinds of different fish oil under different labels. Those things are not regulated by the FDA because it's not a prescription. Now, there is and Dr. Mary Ruwart talked about this when she was on the show recently. Somebody did wind up tweaking something in a fish oil and getting a prescription patent for their particular one. But the thing that you buy at CVS or Walgreens as fish oil, that's not regulated by the federal government. This is Free Talk Live. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE.
It's a no-brainer. A Big Berkey water filter is the one you need, period. You need a water filter that removes chlorine, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, BPA, and other endocrine disruptors, pesticides, bacteria, viruses, and much more, right? And does it all at only 2 cents per gallon. Get the original, most trusted name in gravity water filtration, Big Berkey. And now GCN listeners receive 5% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN. Call or click 1-877-99-BERKEY or BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY.
Fellow Patriots, my name is Todd Savage, founder of BlackRifleRealEstate.com. Like you, I was a prisoner of the alt-left sanctuary state until one day I chose to lead my family to freedom. Today we live on a sustainable 20-acre homestead where we shoot, hunt, garden, and homeschool our children without the tyranny of the nanny state looking over us. If you're ready to flee the city to the freedom of Idaho or Montana, our Black Rifle Real Estate team is here to help. Go to BlackRifleRealEstate.com. That's BlackRifleRealEstate.com.
Free Talk Live.
So when talking to a liberal, you have to be politically correct, but when talking to a conservative, you have to be patriotically correct.
Yeah, it's funny how conservatives forget while they're making fun of liberals and how triggered they get over, social issues. But if you don't stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance or the national anthem at a hockey game or something, you might get some glares. You might get some people really upset.
I actually had somebody tell me when I was at the State House last week, you should really be standing during the pledge. No, I shouldn't. I don't pledge allegiance to things that don't, give some kind of reciprocal
I'm a slave
protection.
To a piece of cloth. This is my stupid brain-dead life. Amen.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free call-in line where you can join us. That's 855-450-3733. And the us in studio tonight is Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we'll go back to the phones here in just a moment. But first, I want to make sure that I tell you about a website that you can go to get all kinds of news about what's going on in the cryptocurrency world. That would be news.bitcoin.com. One of the featured stories right now, according to a recent poll, a majority of Brits say they will not support a crypto issued by the Bank of England. Now, if you've listened to Free Talk Live for any length of time, you know that we've discussed the supposed crypto being supposedly released by the government of Venezuela. And, well, that's not really gone anywhere, but there's not been any polling data out of Venezuela to determine whether or not the people of Venezuela will use that state-run cryptocurrency. But according to a recent poll, a majority of Brits will not use whatever winds up being released by the Bank of England, supposedly as a cryptocurrency. You can find that story and many, many more on news.bitcoin.com. Let's go back to the phones where we've got Jim calling in from Ocala, Florida. Jim, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hello.
Yep, you're on the radio. Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, okay. First off, I want to, as soon as I can afford it, I want to move to New Hampshire.
Great. Excellent.
I believe in you guys, but for the past few years, I've been taking opioids, and it helps somewhat. I smoke pot, but I don't have the medical card yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try that. But I've been taking it for 5 years, and I take $180 a month, and they just gave me 90 more methadone to take with them.
Now, what do you take it for?
I have an artificial shoulder, and I guess hereditary osteoarthritis. I got the osteo from my mother, I guess. But it's hard to get up in the morning without taking any medication.
Right. So have you found that it's a lot harder to actually wind up getting the pills with some of the recent changes in law to where now you've got to, instead of just going to the doctor, you've got to go to the doctor, then to a pain specialist, then to somebody else?
Nope. He lowered them from oxy to hydrocodone plus the methadone, and I just go to him every month. He gives me the prescription, and I cash it, and that's all.
Gotcha.
Well, I said at least 5 years I've been taking them.
All right. Well, and you feel it's giving you a better quality of life?
No, it sucks. I'm addicted to them. I'd like to get off of them.
Gotcha.
It sucks. It's really bad.
Well, that's good. I think that there's plenty of avenues out there to get off of them, and the fact that you want to get off them is a really great first step in, kind of.
Give me another avenue.
Yeah.
What can I do?
Do they? And I'm just not well versed in treatment of opioid addiction. I mean,
Nor
what
am
are the
I.
typical paths that they would take you through? I mean, is methadone?
Well, I think.
What's?
I'm doing methadone also, but I can't get off it because then I can't function. I ride a motorcycle. I gotta be able to ride and turn around, and it's not possible unless I'm on the medication.
Interesting. So how about Suboxone? Is that something you take too, or have taken, or
what?
Suboxone.
I think that's just a different version of the methadone, isn't it?
I think it's a little different.
And it just stops the withdrawal symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't alleviate the pain
Right.
of the
Now,
regular arthritis and shoulder stuff.
Have you told your doctors to prescribe you these opiates that you want to find like an alternative method?
No, he's a dickhead. He won't give me nothing
Oh,
else.
Jim, thank you for the call. I'm going to let that stay on the feed, on the LRN feed, but that getting dropped from the airwaves, you can't use that word.
Even if your doctor is one.
Even if your doctor is a
Yeah.
Richard Cranium, you cannot use the shortened version of that.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I totally encourage you to reach out to maybe go online and look at other health professionals around where you live, or maybe consider going into another community if they accept whatever insurance that you have, and try finding a plan to get off those. Because, I mean, there's plenty of help out there for people that want it.
Well, that's a tough thing. I mean, this guy, he didn't say my back hurts sometimes. I mean, he has, a list of things that are going to cause him pain in his life. And
right. And
what a tricky balance between.
He said he doesn't qualify for medical cannabis in Florida.
Right.
So,
but I wonder how much of the pain too is associated now with the withdrawal symptoms. Maybe it can be miscommunicated with your actual injury. That once you start weaning yourself off of it, that you might realize that
rheumatoid arthritis is not an injury. That's a very painful condition.
Yeah,
and I'm guessing that he said an artificial.
Is that what
shoulder.
he said? I could barely hear what he said.
Yeah.
His injuries were.
Yeah.
Artificial shoulder and rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are, that's the thing. It's tough, and there aren't
Maybe
probably
get
no
help.
magic bullets, but that's the trick. How do you manage pain management with addiction and do it in a compassionate way?
Very tricky. Let's go to the Discord where we've got Duffman Sean. Duffman, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hello. So I wanted to bring up or go back to the Rajneeshs, but real quick, if Jim's still listening, he might want to look into Kratom. It really helps with opiate addiction, and actually is a good substitute for opiate. I had a cousin who was terribly addicted to it and actually swears by Kratom, said it saved her life.
Nice.
Can that give withdrawal symptoms though? Because I've heard about that before. But is that
I don't
basically
think
just
so.
substituting one addiction for another?
From my understanding, it's not addictive in any way. I've actually taken it a few times because it works as a kind of a energy booster. Supposedly, I just kind of wanted to see what it was about, and I
Is it also
didn't
a
have
pain
any
reliever?
addiction to it.
Yeah.
So it's
Go ahead.
Yeah, so it does a couple different things since there's a few different strains, kind of like marijuana actually, though it comes in a powder like tea. It has pain relieving and also can relax you, and then others can give you real boosts of energy, euphoric energy.
I mean, is this like a high, or is it like a, you know what I mean? Like, are there any trippy symptoms?
I wouldn't describe it as a high from how I felt with it. It was just kind of like a big caffeine rush almost, just without your heart feeling like it's going to explode in your chest.
Right.
And what's the legal status of this?
Legal in New Hampshire, as far as I know. Still?
As far as I know it is. I don't think there's any federal regulation at the moment, although I had heard something about the FDA or DEA talking about doing something.
But yeah,
the only reason why I actually know about it is because of the government pushing a big campaign last year to try and ban it, and that got me interested in it. Started doing some research and found out my cousin and had this history with it. Blah 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 blah. So they're trying to ban it, but I don't think they're actually doing anything heavily currently.
Mm-hmm. I know we got some. There's some liberty activists up here in New Hampshire that swear by it, and they're people that have dealt with chronic pain. I think one of them has Crohn's disease, and I think Kratom's supposed to be able to help with that too. And it's an interesting thing. And
there are some people that basically they look at that the way other people look at cannabis. It cures everything.
Right. But
stub your toe, smoke Kratom.
But the point is this thing's been used as a traditional medicine, at least going back into the 19th century. And why not be able to put into your body something to see if it helps you with it?
Exactly.
Right. Duffman, thank you for the call. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Do you have experience with Kratom, cannabis, opioids, meth, cocaine, any of it? This is Free Talk Live.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
I tried other brands, but I came back to my Sunshine.
For the best hot or cold pain relief, get the best. Get a Sunny Bay heating pad.
Sometimes life can be a pain in the neck or back or shoulder.
And the best relief for that pain is a Sunny Bay heating pad. Did you know that the American College of Physicians said that one of the best ways to treat muscle pain is heat therapy? Sunny Bay heating pads are handmade with high quality, can be used at home or at work, and have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy.
Why take another pill?
Many people use our Sunny Bay heating pads alone and got rid of the neck pain.
Long distance travel or long hours in front of a computer can take its toll on your body.
See why our homegrown small business at sunny-bay.com has tried to help people just like you. Get your Sunny Bay heating pads at sunny-bay.com. That's sunny-bay.com or call 253-678-1361 for hot and cold therapy. sunny-bay.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. This is...
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait on account. Now. Wait a minute.
Whoa!
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me.
What
am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com. Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Possibly time for you and your thoughts if you call in now. And, well, we're about to go to Kevin calling in, but he just dropped off the line.
Dang it.
So, yeah, you call in now and we'll get you on. 855-450-FREE. And before we get back to, I'm not sure if there was more to that article.
We covered it.
About the opioids. Pull up the thing about the 911 operator, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But first, want to tell you about the Free Talk Live forums. Yeah, that's right. We've got old school forums. You remember forums from back in the day, Chris?
I remember when they were new.
Free Talk Live has them, and there's a new twist on the old forums to where things can be easily moved. If something's off topic, it can be moved to the appropriate forum, and it's really nice and easy to use. Forum.freetalklive.com. That's forum.freetalklive.com. There's even a forum somewhere in there where we're discussing Fork Fest coming up in June in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. Definitely an event that if you're in New England or plan to be in New England, you want to check out. You can go to forkfest.party to learn more about that. So, Chris, there was that 911 operator down in Houston that wound up
getting in a little bit of trouble, Darryl. Getting a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. What happened there?
Well, I guess if you're a 911 operator, the primary responsibility in your job is to answer the phone and to listen to what they say, and
911, how can I help you?
Dispense the correct amount of government to their location.
Yep.
And in this case, she was just hanging up on him. It took Hua Lee 2 minutes and 3 tries to get help from Houston 911 as a convenience store owner lay bleeding to death on the floor of his store after being shot. Lee was about to walk into a raceway in Houston to buy a lottery ticket in May 2016, but was stopped by another person's warning someone was robbing the store. Lee caught a glimpse of the man holding a gun, court documents say. Then he heard a half a dozen gunshots. He hopped into his car and sped away, and as he put distance between himself and the crime, he pulled out his phone to dial 911. The phone line picked up, then immediately disconnected. Lee tried again. 30 seconds later, his call went through to Krishanda Williams. Houston 911, do you need medical, police, or fire, she asked. This is a robbery, Lee blurted out. Lee heard a sigh, then nothing. The call had been disconnected again. On Wednesday, Williams was sentenced to 10 days in jail and 18 months on probation after she was convicted of hanging up on thousands of calls during the 18 months that she worked as a 911 dispatcher for the city of Houston, according to the Houston Chronicle.
This is one of those things, and I'm sure you've seen the meme on social media where something winds up getting goofed up, and it is tagged, you had one job.
Right.
This lady had one job, to pick up the phone, say, 911, what's your emergency? And then relay the information to police, fire, or medics.
When investigators asked why she had hung up on so many people, she told them that sometimes she just didn't feel like talking. Franklin Bynum...
It's not her job to talk, it's her job to listen.
Franklin Bynum, Williams' attorney, told the Houston Chronicle that the case had unearthed systemic problems at the city's emergency center, which had consolidated calls for police, the fire department, and paramedics 15 years ago. He said that one of the problems was that the system drops calls instead of rerouting them if dispatchers aren't ready for them, and that his client was a scapegoat for a broken system. Quote, she was going through a hard time in her life, and she was a poor-performing worker at the Houston Emergency Center, he said. But punishing her doesn't do anything to fix the problems that still exist at the emergency center. Williams' supervisor was put on internal probation for a year, the Chronicle reported, but a jury found Williams criminally responsible for ignoring thousands of calls. Williams had started working as a dispatcher in July 2014 and had taken thousands of calls, court documents say, but not a year and a half later after she was hired, found that an abnormally large number of her calls had lasted 20 seconds or less, and the city began an investigation. The disconnected calls included one from March 13, 2016, during which a security guard named Jimmy Moten Jr. dialed 911 from his cell phone to report that 2 people in trucks were racing on Interstate 45. This is Officer Moten. I'm driving on 45 South right now, and right now I'm at, he said before Williams cut him off.
Is that the one where she said, ain't nobody got time for that, or was that a different call?
That's when she said, ain't nobody got time for this, for real, she said, and then the line went dead. When investigators pressed Williams about the call, she admitted she was a call taker for both, court documents say. Williams' court documents said, admitting that she often hangs up on calls that that have not been connected because she did not want to talk to anyone at the time.
And speaking of calls, let's go to Joey calling in from Montana. Joey, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hi. Talking about having my hip replaced and being put on a great deal of opiates. It was 2 months before I could get to the surgery. And what happened is I became addicted to the oxycodone. And then I had the surgery, and they gave me 30 days of this thing. And they say that 10% of the people that are given oxycodone or oxycontin or hydrocodone or so forth, they develop diabetes. And I did, and I know why. It's because these kind of opiates attack your pancreas. And although I worked my way through it, and I beat the diabetes, and my hip is fine, everything like that, as long as you don't mind, if you might say, excreting tennis balls, you can get through it. But you can't stay on them forever.
Yeah. Joey, I'm glad to hear that you wound up beating the addiction. You beat the diabetes, and hopefully no medical problems at the moment.
No, not really. My leg works wonderfully, and I look forward to going walking, hiking, and so forth. And it's all good.
That's good to hear.
Thank you for the call. Let's go to Harry calling in from Charleston, West Virginia. Harry, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Gentlemen, how are you today?
Great. Doing well, and there's a lady.
Oh, a lady. Well, hello, lady.
Hi.
Hi, lady.
See, I was listening to the show, but I didn't hear her speak.
Yeah, the last segment was kind of like, didn't pique my interest.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Anyway, about the 911, I've always thought it was the worst system this government has ever put into place because I was a firefighter for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And we had our own dispatchers. The police department had their own dispatchers. And those dispatchers knew every alleyway. They knew a lot of the people involved, that gave trouble many times. And once they consolidated into a multi-county 911, nobody knows where anything is. So if you call, it takes them time to go through their computer, find it on the map, hope the GPS is right, and then try to locate someone to help you. And I've listened many times on my police radio. It will take up to 6 minutes just to get the call from the time you call 911 to the time they dispatch that call to a firefighter or a police officer.
Interesting.
Now, that's way too long.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the 911 center, the consolidation that was supposed to have saved us all of this money, has turned out to cost us almost twice as much.
Yeah, it's interesting. I live in a very, very small town here in New Hampshire, and the folks that have been here forever, they know to call. If it's a police matter, they'll call the local police number regardless of the hour because they know that it will get routed. If nobody picks up there, it'll get routed directly to the sheriff's office, which would be our backup. So they avoid the whole 911 thing, which ends up going to Concord, which is 45 miles away, and then they get routed from there. So
So the problem here isn't that somebody created an easy number to dial. The problem is the consolidation of all of these services to where, as you said, the call's not even being answered in the same county.
Right. And it seems like if you did have a 911, even if you had one operator who, or operators that answer that one call, they say police, fire, ambulance, and then based on your location, they instantly route you to the fire dispatchers, for example, in your county. That seems like it would be an improvement.
Yeah.
But again, it is what it is.
Harry, thank you for the call. Wish we had more time, but we don't tonight. But we'll be back tomorrow, as we are every night of the week. And we're always online at freetalklive.com. Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP